Guys, what's up? Active Daily. Wanted to talk to you about the difference between recovery and sobriety. I've been seeing a lot of things lately about staying sober for X amount of time, using whatever method that people do, whether it's AA or smart recovery or whatever it is on their own. So I couldn't help but have this idea about recovery versus sobriety because it comes up kind of quite often in the things that I hear, listen to, read, and whatnot. So for me, the whole first year of recovery was actually more about sobriety. In other words, just not drinking. So there's a huge difference between not drinking versus being in recovery. The first year, the triggers are really intense, so to say, and then it lessens as the year goes on. I had to do a lot of like avoiding of like for example, I had to avoid driving by my liquor store on the way to work because, well, it was on the way there. So I actually drove a more roundabout way that took me longer to get to work and get back home because of that liquor store. So year one was about avoiding stuff like that. I had to break contact with my best friend at the time, things of that nature. So that's all that year one was about. Like, for me to sum it up. Year two, on the other hand, was really about working on recovery. So for me, when I think about like how much time somebody has or how much time that I have, it's more about like how happy I am. So for me, that's what recovery is about. It's about working on being happy. It's about personal development. It's about, am I moving towards A, the person I want to be, and B, accomplish things that I want to accomplish. Whether that's this right here, Active Recovery Life, hopefully bringing value to you guys out there. That's kind of still what I say whenever one of my friends or classmates or people at the gym ask me how's it going. I just say I hope I'm bringing value to people out there. So hopefully you feel some of that. And the biggest thing is just being happy. And to be honest, that has nothing to do with being in recovery, being an alcoholic or a drug addict. There are tons of unhappy people out there who are not, addicts. So kind of like my last video, the one gift I get by being a alcoholic drug addict is I'm pleasantly forced to work on that stuff. So recovery is this evolving thing where A, we don't drink or use, and B, I work on being happy. So, easier said than done, easier written down than not. And here's a couple of questions you can ask yourself about recovery and where you're at in it. You can ask yourself, well, number one, am I happy? And if you're not, why is that? What are some of those things, those stories that keep popping up in your head? Is it, if I had a better job? Is it if I had more money? Is it if I had a different relationship? And then, for me anyway, this is what I had to do, is I had to go back and reevaluate. Why do I need more money? Now, granted, I know, yes, pay bills, rent, car payment, phone, food, gas, blah, 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 blah. So, yes, that is why we need a certain amount of money. But why do you need more money? And if you had more money, what would you do with more money, So I had to reevaluate the importance that I put on money versus the importance I put on relationships. The money importance was high, the relationship one was super low. And in my recovery, I have figured out how to kind of tip that the other way. And I felt more fulfilled because of it, relationships, right? If you're not happy with the one that you're in, or even like your friendships, you got to just reevaluate. Like when I mentioned earlier, I had to give up my best friend once I got sober. And to be honest, I still miss him. I love the guy. And it's a bummer that we couldn't be friends, but I had to evaluate. He still uses. He doesn't drink as much as I do, but that doesn't matter. He uses. And I can't have friends like that anymore. It's a super tough pill to swallow, but in the grand scheme of things, it was necessary. And although I still miss the guy and I hope him the best, we just can't talk anymore. Not every single day, not like we used to. So those are some of the things, that you can ask yourself. If you're not happy, why is that? And if it has something to do with, let's take the job example, right? Which is kind of tied to the money example as well, right? If you feel like, that you need a better job, then what job is it that you would want to do? And then, of course, you just kind of go down the list. What do I need to do that, right? So What skills do I have to learn in order to get that next position or get that promotion, so I can earn more money, so I can, move to a place that I want to move to, so I can go on the trips that I want to go to, so on and so forth. The great part for me anyway that was lucky is I'm the type of alcoholic and drug addict where I blame myself for everything, which thankfully also meant that I'm in control of starting the solution. Now, I can't do everything by myself, not even close. Like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for dozens of people in and around in my life. But the solution starts with me, it starts with me. And sometimes part of that solution is just asking for help. So if it's different skills you need in order to get the job you need, then you can research. The great part is we live in 2017 America, or at least 2017 period. And if you're watching this, that means you have the internet. We got Google. So, little things like that in order to just try and work in the right direction. And then, of course, like these right here, all these books behind me. So these Go-Giver books right here on the end, they were life-changing for me. They were life-changing for me in my recovery, talking about service and just doing for others, just to do though, and then in the grand scheme of things, how that all kind of works out. Law of attraction, I mean, you kind of go on and on. Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins. I love Lewis Howes' School of Greatness podcast. He has tons of great guests. Les Brown was just on there in the episode I was watching this morning. Great motivational speaker. I mean, adding all these things in, what can you do in order to work on your recovery? And to be honest, you don't have to do any of that crap if you're happy. If you're happy the way you are, then shoot, more power to you, man. And I'm super, super excited and glad for you. But if you're not, then there's some hard questions to ask. And, it's like for me, I got a counselor, I got a therapist in the beginning. This guy who was in recovery. I just so happened to find out he was in recovery after I went to go see him. So, and then it just kind of went from there, professional help to treatment to sponsor to sober friends to people outside of recovery, friends and people I've met since then. So, in either case, thanks for watching. Ask yourself a couple of those questions. Please leave comments. Feel free to message me anytime. Appreciate it. Be well, and stay active.